Robert Kelly is a professor in the Department of Political Science and Diplomacy at Pusan National University. He joins us now. Thank you for joining us on the program. Robert, I haven't been to Busan, but I have been to Seoul a couple times, and it is a fast-moving, bustling city. I can't imagine what it's like to actually come to a standstill. Can you describe to us what it was like in cities across South Korea today?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, they like stop flights and trains and they make a major effort to reduce noise in cities all over the country. They shut down roads near schools and things like that. It's pretty astonishing, actually, right? Especially since most Koreans live in cities. It is actually remarkably quiet. In a way, that's actually really kind of nice once a year because, you have dense cities that are very loud. But yeah, I mean, there are economic costs associated with this, right? I mean, you are actually losing commerce and stuff like that. And there is sort of this debate sort of on the fringes of this about whether or not it's actually too expensive for the economy to sort of like grind everything to a halt for several hours once a year.
For the students, though, this must be an incredibly stressful time for them. Describe to us what they go through as they prepare for and then take these exams.
Right. So the logic is that everybody should be evaluated by the same measure, right? Every single student in the country should face exactly the same questions. And so there's a kind of, I think, an admirable egalitarianism to that. What it does, though, is it creates this kind of all or nothing atmosphere, and it generates an enormous amount of stress for students who are really still teenagers, right? I mean, they're basically on the cusp of going to college. And so there are all these sort of psychological questions about whether or not they can handle it. And you have students who don't get the grades they want, and so they stay back and they take them again and again and again. There's a debate. There's a sort of running debate in Korea about whether or not this is healthy or not. There's a debate about whether or not they should try the American system where you can add all kinds of other things like activities that you do and things like that, where you're on the debate club or a sports team or something. But that introduces variability, right? That introduces sort of personal selection. And so the merit of this process is that everybody is evaluated by exactly the same standard.
Right, but youth unemployment is at its highest rate in almost a decade. It's never been harder to get into a good university. Do you think pressure on South Korean students has actually gotten worse?
Yeah, I mean, as an academic, as a college professor, yeah, I do think so, actually. And I see this when I teach sort of freshmen and sophomores in the first couple of years here, right? I mean, they come here and they're just sort of this enormous sense of relief. It's like, oh, I made it. I got through high school. I got into a decent program. And now I'm going to sort of go mad and sort of party for the first year or so. And this is sort of an issue, actually, in South Korean collegiate education, is that they sort of like cram for 10 years to pass this exam to get into a good university. And then when they do, they kind of slide for the first year and a half, and you kind of have to pull them out of that as an instructor. It's actually kind of difficult. And you can see in your imagery there sort of the students running and cheering and clapping and stuff like that, right? I mean, it generates an enormous amount of pressure on one singular moment. And that's difficult in anybody's lives, especially for a teenager.
All right, Robert Kelly joining us in Busan in South Korea. Thank you so much.